Good morning, everybody. It's Saturday, November 21st. We just woke up at Pine Canyon 3 in Big Bend National Park. We drove from Houston Thursday after work, stayed in a hotel west of San Antonio, and kind of drove the rest away yesterday and got into the park and did Old Ore Road, which ended up taking quite a bit of time. We had the three of us and the 4Runner, and then we had two friends that were each in their own Jeeps. So we had 5 people and 3 vehicles. And the rules at the national park right now are only 2 vehicles per site. And we had 2 sites, but they were pretty far apart. So Brian and Mike with the Jeeps, they stopped at the first site that we had, which was Ernst Basin, which was about 2/3 of the way down Old Ore Road. And they stayed there, and we continued on down Old Ore. Emma got a nosebleed. It was getting dark. It is kind of cool going to sleep in a place out in the middle of nowhere with really no idea what it's going to look like when you wake up. But this is what we saw when we woke up this morning. We're trying to fit in with the Jeep crowd.
They ready, we not.
This is a Jeep beard. Standard issue.
These guys just crashed in their trucks, got up at the brink of dawn and finished Old Ore and drove all the way over here, and we had just managed to get out of bed and make coffee. We're getting packed up. We're gonna head up to Panther Junction and top off with gas, and then we're going to try and do Black Gap Road and River Road over to the state park. And then we made it back up to Terralingua, aired up, and we're headed over to Big Bend Ranch State Park. And we're hustling and trying to make it to our campsite before it gets too crazy dark. All right. Good morning, everybody. We are at Big Bend Ranch State Park this morning. We're at the Trace Papalotes site, and yesterday we covered probably 200 miles. So we were just driving. It's probably about an hour and a half or so, maybe a little more from pavement to this campsite in Big Bend Ranch State Park. So just a lot of driving. Something to keep in mind if you do come out to Big Bend is maybe plan your day a little bit on what you're going to try and do, because it's just so... Oh, my coffee's ready. It's just so big that you know, it takes a while to get from one place to another out here. But the awesome thing is you are just miles and miles and miles from anybody else. So if that's your thing, maybe check it out. So what's for breakfast, Brian?
Eggs and sausage and biscuits if they turn out.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And the coffees.
This spot, Trace Papalotes at the state park, is pretty cool. We haven't seen what our other spots are gonna look like yet, but this one's great. You got room for multiple rigs spaced out probably as far as like what they would be at individual spots at a normal state park.
Do you think they're the loose livestock they were talking about?
Yeah, they look pretty loose.
Brian, do they look loose to you?
Definitely that white one.
made it to our campsite for night 2, Rincon number 2. Pretty amazing. We drove for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours just to get from one campsite to another. Really, really cool out here at Big Bend Ranch State Park. I mean, look at this site. This is a state park. Seriously, props to Texas Parks and Wildlife Management. It's just absolutely amazing. You can't see this whole park like without running out of gas. Yeah. So if you come out here, come with a full tank and pick what you want to see, because you could drive around for days and just run out of gas. Since we rolled into camp well before dark for the first time, we decided to make a quick trip over to the ruins of the Crawford Smith Ranch. What was once a stagecoach wagon road between Terralingua and Marfa is now blocked just north of the Crawford house, and is the end of the road heading south into Fresno Canyon. It's hard to imagine that this was once a thriving oasis in the desert that raised herds of goats, had large citrus and fig orchards, and vegetable gardens. Wax from candelia plants was produced for waterproofing textiles in World War I, and mercury was produced from cinnabar ore mined in the area. The lifeblood of this ranch was a sophisticated irrigation system that brought water down from a hillside spring to a man-made reservoir. Ranching activities mostly died out in the Depression era, when the area received only 2 inches of rain in 1933. Well, the sun has gone down behind this mountain over here, and the wind has really picked up. So, see how this is gonna go. It's blowing the tent around pretty good. We actually lowered the rain fly and kind of battened down that side, because I was catching a lot of wind. But yeah, there's some pretty good gusts coming through. The wind gust just blew our ready light over. It's the first time that's ever happened. Now we're prepared. We kind of hunkered down behind the 4Runner and ate our steaks and the rest of our dinner, and probably just gonna try and get everything put away and get some shelter from this wind, and hopefully it dies down by in the morning. Hey, is it windy up here too?
Yeah. You don't feel it, but you hear it really loud.
Good morning, everybody. We are getting packed up here at Rincon 2. We had kind of a quick breakfast. That wind from last night, it ended up just stopping around 9:30. We kind of hunkered down in the tent and watched a movie, and before the movie was over, it just kind of died down and got still. So anyway, we're gonna get packed up. made it to Chorro Vista, stopped at the ranger station and took hot showers, which was pretty nice. I would say this was the most, I don't know, off-roady kind of road getting here that we've seen so far. I was a little bit glad we didn't have this one the first night when we were completely in the dark. But again, just beautiful, beautiful views with no one else around. Let me walk down here and show you. We're gonna be here 2 nights, so we're taking a little more time setting up solar, and there's no shelter out here like we've found at the other sites. There's just a picnic table and that's it, which is fine. So we kind of rigged up a ghetto awning with a tarp between the 2 vehicles for some shade. So even though it's late November, the sun is it's pretty brutal out here in the desert in the middle of the day. So we got the $20 Walmart tarp and bungee cords. But it makes shade.
No, I've got 2 pads.
We just got up here at Chorro Vista, had coffee and a little breakfast, and we're gonna go on a little hike here before it gets hot. Last night we tried to do some astrophotography, which I think we got a couple decent shots, but the moon is pretty bright.
You lose yourself when the wind flows through your hair. You taste freedom as you fill your lungs with air. The time has stopped, your mind has set sail. The road is home, the stars will light the trail. The stars will light the trail. I find myself here alone on this dusty road, waiting for a sign to point me.
Little spring out here in the bottom of this canyon in the middle of the desert. It's kind of a oasis. Weird to see trees and water and stuff. I just realized I could see our tent from here.
Waiting for a sign to point me home. I'll close my eyes and put my feet to the ground. 'Cause when I'm lost, I don't want to be found.
So
Yourself.
this little spot over here is where we thought was Madrid Falls, but there's actually on the other side of that mound, you can hear water running. Where you see those trees. So there's actually water coming down both sides of that big plateau there.
Your face and drown into the river. As the starlight bleeds out, let it be a new route. Home is where you make it. Put your hands in the air, let go your fears and drown into the river. As the starlight bleeds out, let it be a new route. Home is where you make it.
Morning everybody, it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So we had, I guess, a cold front come through last night. The wind changed direction, started coming out of the north, blowing pretty good, I don't know, 30, 40 mile an hour. And I know the tent was fine, but man, when you're in there it just sounds like it's coming apart. Emma did not care, fell right asleep. What you eating?
Honey buns.
Where'd you get that?
Mr. Brian.
So we got about 2 hours to get out of the state park, and then we're gonna head over to Presidio and get some gas and head north from there. We put the extra fuel we brought in, and so now we're both back at about 3/4 of a tank, so we should be in good shape. What'd you think, Brian?
I dug it.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Views, 10. Wind, 5.
Yeah. We made it back to the visitor center, ranger station. It was about an hour and a half. You look like you really like that trasher. What are you doing to that thing?